I'm Catherine Lee, former CFO of Lee Enterprises, the company my brother Michael and I built from the ground up before everything came crashing down after his tragic accident last year. His wife, Amanda, didn't waste a minute pushing me out, claiming that family ties only complicate business. As I skim through the forensic audit report on my desk, I can't help but wonder if she remembers the day she handed me full access to every company account. The crisp autumn wind rattles my office window while I sift through another stack of financial statements. My new workspace at Morrison and Blake Financial Investigations may lack the history of my old office, but it has what I need: quiet and privacy. A framed photo of Michael and me at Lee Enterprises' 10th anniversary catches my eye. We were proud back then, standing side by side, believing we were unstoppable. Still deep in the numbers. Sarah, my assistant, asks from the doorway. She's seen me comb through these records more times than she can count. Something's off, I say, trailing my finger down a column of figures. Amanda's been making questionable moves with what's left of my brother's legacy. Questionable is putting it mildly. In the 11 months since Michael's accident, Amanda's been systematically dismantling everything we worked 15 years to create. She went from barely engaged spouse to full-on corporate queen in record time. Everyone else may be fooled by her sudden transformation, but I know better. I close my eyes briefly, recalling the boardroom meeting 3 months ago when Amanda staged her coup. She sat at the head of the table in Michael's seat, her usual casual look replaced by an expensive blazer and perfectly polished nails. "Catherine," she began, her voice dripping with practiced sympathy, "we need to discuss your future with the company." I had seen it coming. Ever since Michael's funeral, Amanda had been angling for control, cornering board members, and whispering about necessary changes before my brother was even laid to rest. The board feels that having family in high-level positions presents a conflict of interest for investors, she continued, sliding a manila folder across the table. "This is a generous severance package. We hope you'll consider it carefully." "I helped build this company," I said, my voice steady despite the fury simmering beneath my calm. "Michael and I started from nothing. You can't just." "Oh, but I can." The thin veneer of sympathy slipped, revealing the calculating expression beneath. "As the majority shareholder, I'm fully within my rights to restructure management as I see fit. The paperwork has already been filed." I didn't touch the folder. I simply rose, adjusted my jacket, and turned to leave. At the door, I glanced back. "You know, Amanda, Michael always said you were smarter than you looked." I guess he was right. Her eyes narrowed, the only crack in her otherwise flawless mask. "Is that supposed to be a compliment?" "No," I said coolly. "It's a warning." Now, as I sit here sifting through transaction histories and shell company details, I finally understand just how dangerous Amanda's newfound business skills really are. Hidden transactions, offshore accounts, and missing funds. There's a pattern emerging, and it's more than simple greed. Something bigger is in play. Sarah returns, placing a fresh cup of coffee on my desk. The insurance investigator called again. He's asking if you've uncovered anything unusual. I glance at the USB drive hanging around my neck, my thumb brushing its smooth surface. Michael had handed it to me just a week before his accident, his expression unusually serious. "Backup files," he'd said, forcing a smile. "Just in case. Keep them safe, okay?" At the time, I didn't think much of it. Michael was always hyper-vigilant about data security. But now, cross-checking those files with current company records, I'm finding discrepancies that set off alarm bells. The timing of his accident, Amanda's sudden rise, and the rapid restructuring, it all connects. My phone buzzes. A text from Amanda. "Heard you've been asking questions. Be careful, Catherine. Some stones are better left unturned." I smirk at the screen, glancing at the neatly organized documents sprawled across my desk. "Oh, Amanda," I whisper, "I'm not just turning over stones. I'm building your tombstone." The question isn't whether Amanda's embezzling. I already have enough evidence to prove that. The real mystery is why. Why did the woman who once ignored the company suddenly become so invested? And why did Michael have to die for her plans to fall into place? I pick up the photo of my brother once more, running my fingers along the frame. "Don't worry, Michael," I murmur softly. "I'm going to find out what really happened to you. And when I do, Amanda will learn why you always said I was the one people should be afraid of." 2 weeks after Amanda's ominous text, I find myself sitting in a dimly lit restaurant across from James Chen, the former head of cybersecurity at Lee Enterprises. He looks like a man being hunted, his eyes darting nervously toward the entrance, fingers tapping a restless rhythm on the table. I shouldn't be here, he mutters, gripping his water glass tightly. If Amanda finds out. She won't, I say, sliding a folder toward him. But I need to know what you found on Michael's laptop the day after the accident. His face blanches. How did you? Because I know my brother, I interrupt. And I know he wouldn't have left without a plan. The waiter approaches, but I wave him off. James takes a shaky breath and leans forward, lowering his voice. Amanda ordered me to wipe everything, he whispers. She said it was standard protocol. But before I did, I noticed something unusual. Dozens of encrypted files, all created in the weeks before he died. And he pauses, glancing around nervously. There were remote access logs. Someone had been monitoring his computer for months. My pulse quickens. Did you keep copies? He shakes his head. Amanda was watching me the entire time. But he takes out his phone, scrolls quickly, and shows me a photo. I snapped a picture of one file name, Project Eclipse. I go rigid. Project Eclipse, the same term I'd seen buried in the suspicious financial transactions. James notices my reaction. You know what it means, don't you? Before I can respond, my phone vibrates. A text from Sarah. Emergency. Amanda's at the office asking for access to old financial records. Says it's board approved. I stand abruptly, tossing cash onto the table. James, if it comes down to it, I'll need you to testify about what you found. His eyes widen with fear. Catherine, I have a family. So did Michael, I say coldly, and someone made sure his family was shattered. Back at my office, I find Sarah blocking the entrance while Amanda stands just inside the reception area, arms folded and wearing that same smug smile she had the day she forced me out of the company. Catherine, she says, her voice dripping with false sweetness. What a surprise. The board is conducting an internal audit. I need access to some historical records. I match her tone. Funny, I wasn't aware of any scheduled board meetings today. Her smile tightens. It's just a routine review. Nothing about you is routine anymore, Amanda. Tell me, how's Project Eclipse coming along? For a split second, her mask slips. Her eyes widen in shock before narrowing into a glare. I don't know what you're talking about, she snaps, though her voice wavers slightly. No. I ask, my tone casual. Maybe I should ask our friends at Maven Industries then. They might have more to say about it. Amanda's perfectly manicured nails dig into her arms. You're walking into dangerous territory, Catherine. No, Amanda, I say, stepping closer, lowering my voice so only she can hear. I'm ending the game you started. I know about the surveillance on Michael's computer. I know about the money transfers. And soon, I'll know why my brother really died. Her smile vanishes entirely. Your brother's death was an accident. Don't twist your grief into something it's not. Grief can make people do strange things, I reply, eyes locked on hers. Like rushing to take over a company, or trying to bury evidence. Her expression hardens, and for the first time, I see fear in her eyes. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. Last warning, back off. As she storms out, Sarah turns to me, wide-eyed. What's Maven Industries? I've never heard of them. Neither had I admit. Until I traced several payments Amanda authorized, huge sums transferred before and after Michael's death to a shell company registered under that name. I enter my office and pull up the security footage from Amanda's visit. Freezing the frame where she stood near Sarah's desk, I zoom in on her hand. She's holding a USB drive. She wasn't here for records, I murmur. She was trying to plant something. That night, I stay late, digging deeper into Maven Industries. Their website looks polished, claiming they're a tech consultancy specializing in corporate restructuring. But their listed address leads to an empty office in Singapore, and their contact number routes to a dead-end messaging service. A knock at my door startles me. Detective Rivera from the Accident Investigation Unit steps in, looking uneasy. Ms. Lee, he says, removing his hat, we need to talk about your brother's case. I gesture for him to sit. Find something interesting in the brake lines, detective. He shifts uncomfortably in his seat. Yes. The forensic team found evidence of tampering, subtle, professional work. It would have been missed if you hadn't requested a second examination. My heart pounds. So it wasn't an accident. No, he confirms grimly. But here's where it gets tricky. The technique matches the signature of a known hitman who's worked for a group using the name Maven Industries. The pieces fall into place. Maven Industries isn't just a shell company, it's a front for something far more sinister. And Amanda's connection to them started long before Michael's death. Right then, my computer pings with an alert. Someone is trying to breach our secure server. I track the IP address. It's coming from Lee Enterprises. They're desperate. I tell Rivera, which means we're getting close. Moments later, my phone buzzes with an email from an anonymous sender. The subject line reads, Michael knew. Attached is a video file. With trembling hands, I click play. The footage is from Lee Enterprises, dated the night before Michael's accident. It shows him in his office, frantically copying files. Amanda enters, and though the video has no audio, their body language speaks volumes. Michael is livid, Amanda defensive. Then she shifts to a more aggressive stance, and he backs away, clutching something. My breath catches. It's the USB drive, the one now hanging around my neck. I turn to Rivera, my voice steady despite the storm raging inside me. Detective, I know why my brother died. And now, I can prove it. The Lee Enterprises boardroom is steeped in tense silence as I finish my presentation. All eyes are on Amanda, seated rigidly at the head of the table. Her usual poised expression falters, cracks forming in her polished exterior. Project Eclipse, I say, my voice steady, echoing in the stillness, wasn't just a corporate restructuring plan. It was a cover for a murder conspiracy. I let the words hang, watching the ripple of unease spread across the board. Amanda partnered with Maven Industries months before Michael's death, using their shell companies to funnel stolen assets. But Michael found out, and he wasn't going to let it happen. I click play on the security footage. The screen flickers to life, showing Michael in his office, tense and angry. The board watches, horrified, as Amanda enters and the silent confrontation unfolds. Michael's accusations, Amanda's growing hostility, the unmistakable threat in her body language. The next day, I continue, forcing my voice to remain calm. Michael's brakes failed, and within hours, Maven Industries received a final payment, $2 million. Amanda breaks the silence, her voice sharp but trembling. You can't prove any of this, she snaps, though the fear in her eyes betrays her. Actually, I can. I nod toward the door. Detective Rivera steps in, flanked by 2 officers. Maven Industries wasn't just a consulting firm. Their real business was corporate sabotage and, when necessary, elimination. The hitman they hired left behind evidence, and your offshore accounts filled in the gaps. Amanda bolts up, reaching for her phone, but Rivera moves quicker, seizing her arm. Amanda Lee, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder and corporate fraud. As the officers cuff her and begin to lead her away, she twists around, her eyes blazing with hatred. He was going to ruin everything. He didn't deserve to run this company, she snarls. No, Amanda, I say, my tone cold and final. The company was Michael's life, and now it's your downfall. 3 months later, I'm back in my old office, the familiar space carrying a new sense of purpose. After Amanda's arrest, the board unanimously voted to reinstate me as CFO and interim CEO. Her trial is approaching fast, with James and Detective Rivera both ready to testify. I set Michael's photo on my desk, beside a framed copy of the day's newspaper. The bold headline reads, Corporate Murder Plot Uncovered. Amanda Lee Arrested. We did it, Michael, I whisper, my fingers brushing the edge of the frame. Justice came late, but it came. My phone buzzes with a message from Sarah. Maven Industries' full records are here. Want to see what other accidents they've arranged? A faint smile tugs at my lips. Somewhere out there, other families are waiting for answers. Families like mine, caught in the web of corporate greed. Send them over, I reply, feeling a sense of purpose stir. We're just getting started. Because sometimes karma needs a push, and sometimes justice shows up in designer heels, armed with nothing more than a USB drive and the truth. What would you have done in my place? Would you have risked everything to expose the truth, no matter the cost? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your stories.